All right, from this point on, I started actually watching because we had gotten finished with much of the Drek and the main events were up. And since I'm watching everything now, it gets worse from here. Seth Rollins and Edge. How many good things have I said about both these guys over the months and years, right? I've been a Seth Rollins fan, not sometimes of his promos and the Monday Night Messiah thing, but he was at one time a tremendous in-ring worker and still has the ability, it seems like, if they could figure out what his whole outlook on the world is, which changes a lot. And Edge is obviously a Hall of Famer and a fucking great talent. He's starting to look like an in-shape Dog the Bounty Hunter in some cases, especially with the long jacket. He did the Brood entrance, which I liked because the Brood was cool. They don't get enough respect. But we were 2.5 hours into this show just from what was on pay-per-view. I don't know what else they did in the building and when everybody got there. But 2.5 hours into the show at the bell to start this match. And they started out taking their time, which they didn't run off and leave the people. I thought, okay, maybe they're wanting to slow things down and get them into it. But they slowed things down, but I don't know that they ever got everybody really into it. Edge kept dumping Seth out to the floor. Seth finally stopped Edge against the post and the steps. And do you miss grudge matches in wrestling, Brian?
Yeah.
When there was an angle and there had been an injury thing or there'd been a fucking attack or there was some hatred or bad blood between two guys and the heel would be in the ring and that baby face had hit that fucking ring and start beating the shit out of him and robes fly up in the air and here we go and the people are screaming, kill the motherfucker, kill the motherfucker. They're wanting the heel's blood and they're fucking fighting and goddamn some blood comes up and then here we go and then the heel takes over and nothing has any life like that anymore. They get in and do their routines. And the heat on Edge, it wasn't tearing the house down. They had all the tools. There's a definite heel and a definite baby face. So they won that battle. Their work looked good for what it did, for what they did, rather, for what it was. The moves didn't look silly or fake, but either the pace, the interest level, or the length of the show, it didn't come together. And I was starting to notice half the fans of 50,000 people were wearing chin straps and not face masks. Why would you be comfortable sitting in the middle of 50,000 people, all of them potentially possessing a deadly illness, and the fat guy next to you is wearing his mask under his goddamn chin? Anyway, Rollins hit a nice frog splash, got a lot of height on it, but much of this match was like watching ice cream melt. They took forever to help each other climb to the top rope at that one point so that Edge could neck breaker Seth Rollins off the top. And there's obvious cooperation on all these climbs to the very top. And they have to, and you could push anybody off at any second, so that takes you out of it. You know, Edge made a comeback. They went back and forth. Rollins did the goofy deal where he superplexes the guy, and then they bounce straight up to their feet so he can do the Falcon Arrow. Like that's a thing. You've just done a superplex off the top rope. Instead of going for a cut, instead of both guys registering the effect and the guy that did it then going for a cover, both of you just pop right back up to your feet and then take a bump that's a third as impressive, and that's where you cover the guy. I would start fining people for doing the superplex into the Falcon Arrow because I see a bunch of people do it and it looks like shit every single time. The biggest pop of the match came so far at that point, at least, when Edge speared Rollins through the ropes, off the apron onto the floor. That was nice. They got a good false finish when Rollins missed a moonsault and Edge speared him, and people are starting to get into it. Finally, lo and behold, More back and forth. Edge got a crossface finally, and then held it, and then bounced Seth Rollins' face off the mat about 15 times, and then cranked back on the crossface, and Rollins tapped. There. What happened to exciting finishes that come as a surprise and get a pop at the 3 count when the babyface triumphs over adversity? Now we get stationary holds that guys are in for a minute or so, and then finally somebody taps out. Even guys whose gimmicks aren't that they're shooters or great amateur wrestlers or the fucking MMA influence, now they're tapping people out. And it's the most boring goddamn finish that you can possibly do. Except when it's a Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, or of Kyle O'Reilly and a fucking somebody, the shooters and somebody. But everybody's tapping out. This was a hold that the babyface got on the heel, cranked on him for a while, and bashed his head into the fucking mat, and then cranked back, and I'll tap out. And everybody goes, yay! But imagine if the fucking heel had foiled the babyface's comeback and stopped him, and somehow was going for his big move, and the babyface thinks quickly and reverses it, boom, and 1, 2, 3, yay! That's why people pop, because it's a surprise, because it comes out of nowhere and there's motion. They're in a stadium of 50,000 people, unless the fans are watching the big screen or on the right side of things, they can't even tell the fucking guy tapped. They just hear the bell ring. Jesus Christ. There's more tap outs in wrestling now than there is in the UFC.
That's funny.
Anyway, so that was very long. As I mentioned, we were carbon dating this show at this point, but it just didn't. Why does everything have to be so long?
There's nothing worse than a WWE long match that doesn't work. Because it's just painful. It just becomes like a battle between them and you more than the two wrestlers. Who's going to win this? Who's going to be standing at the end? And they always win because it's always terrible. This is the second excruciating long Edge match I could think of. There was that one with Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
And this, and talented guys, although Seth Rollins to me is the ultimate in go away. He's like the Matt Jackson of WWE right now. And Edge is good at what he does, but this match, boy, did this not work for me. I didn't like this at all.
Well, and we talk about what is it with all of the modern wrestling fans that say, oh, God, you guys liked it when they laid in a headlock for 20 minutes, when that never actually went. Well, in the 30s, that was a thing, but not since, like, air conditioning and television has that been a thing.
Yeah, other than, like, John Studd matches. You don't really see a lot of that, yeah.
And Johnny Valentine, but he got there eventually. But everybody's, the 20-minute headlocks back in the day. We never saw that. Matches moved, and there was action, and there was excitement. And now everything is 30 minutes, and it's either 30 excruciating minutes or 30 minutes of every goddamn thing in the world where nothing matters anyway, and you just can't wait for it to be over. They can't just go out and have 12 minutes, tear the house down, get some fucking juice, fucking take some bumps, and goddamn give them a finish.